mark her down as an so good afternoon. This is the City of San Diego Commission on Police Practices Ad Hoc Transition Planning Committee meeting. I'm Doug Case. I am a member of the commission, first vice chair of the commission and chair of this ad hoc committee. Taking roll from the Zoom attendance, we have Brandon Hilpert, who is chair of the commission. We have commissioners Nancy Vaughn and Robin Spruce. We have our administrative staff members, Leda Conde and Robin Resendez, and we have our executive search firm consultant, David Niemeyer. Niemeyer or Niemeyer?
Niemeyer.
Niemeyer, okay.
Okay.
And so we can go and put the agenda up.
Wow.
And I don't think there was any public comment submitted, was there?
No, I don't believe so. No public comment received.
Okay, and nothing new in the budget process for staffing. I'm not sure whether David or Robin want to give us an update on the community engagement coordinator.
I mean, sure. Yeah, Doug, we had several interviews yesterday for the community engagement coordinator. One had to get rescheduled. We're doing that in a couple hours, and so, I mean, we will be done after that. And I think Robin's then gonna get input on the candidates and be sharing that with the group shortly.
Okay, good. And I see that Diana Dent has joined us. You can mark that in the attendance. And any update on the supervising investigator?
No, not at this point. Again, I think really I just need feedback from San Diego in terms of kind of the next steps they want to take with that. So
when you say feedback from San Diego, what?
But feedback from the commission. Sorry, yeah.
Okay.
Because yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we've given our client packet with our recommendations, so we're kind of standing by, waiting to hear the next steps. So.
Okay. And then speaking of next steps on that, I guess that the next step would be for the selection. I'm trying to remember what we are doing on that, whether it's the selection committee is going to
on that one, didn't we decide it was going to be the cabinet was going to review those and go through all the different
that's what I thought you talked about.
Yeah, that's what I think. And we
yeah,
and talked about having a community representative on that. And Robin was tasked with checking with Andrea St. Julian. I guess originally Andrea said that she wasn't interested or willing to do it. But it sounds like, I'll let Robin speak momentarily, but it sounds like she changed her mind and said that she would do it and would do it not just for this one, but for others moving forward. So maybe Robin can clarify.
Yeah. So we spoke yesterday, and she is willing to be on a supervisor, to be the community member, as you mentioned, for the investigating, and then also for that, the final screener before Charmaine for the community engagement coordinator. We didn't get a whole lot past those two, but I'm certain you could discuss that with her further, but those two for sure.
Okay, that was gonna be my question. You said moving forward, so I wasn't sure whether she was committing to all the positions moving forward or just those two.
Yeah, maybe two at a time, but for sure those two.
Okay, and so we can talk to Charmaine about getting that set up. Anything else on staffing? Okay.
Nope.
And nothing new on the implementation ordinance, other than it goes into effect pretty soon. because wasn't it 30 days from the time that it was, well, I guess the second reading was on, I think the 18th. So I guess there's a couple more weeks still before it goes into effect. Nothing new on standing rules, and I'm guessing there's nothing new on community outreach other than what you've already been doing. And we have had success in meeting with the mayor and city council members. Let me see, we've met this week with council member Kate and Campbell, Whitburn, and La Cava. Is that it?
Yep.
And it seems like more than that, but but with council president and Sean Needlo Rivera, we actually have now met with the majority of the city council. And most of them have been supportive with both proposals. Councilmember Whitburn has some reservations about the nominations process. He's concerned about making sure that the commission is balanced in terms of perspective, and thinks that the city council ought to have a bigger role in the process. And I think at the end of the day, he indicated he was okay with the procedure, but he still had some reservations. Do you want to say anything else in addition to that, Brandon?
Yeah, no, I think he just wants to make sure that it's representative and that we're not being biased one way or the other, which makes sense. I think that's everybody's goal, is to have a impartial commission. So
yeah, and I explained to him that we didn't want to have a heavier city council involvement in the process because we wanted it to be a non-political process, and said that it's actually very similar to the former process with the CRB, and that the mayor made the appointments, but the mayor acted on recommendations that came from the CRB, and we had a very similar interviewing process and so forth, and that seemed to work out well and keep it from being non-political, except when an occasional mayor would appoint somebody that didn't go through the process and then didn't last very long after that. And
Or
then
drop somebody from the board too. We had the same thing happen.
yeah, well, actually, he did both. He
Yes.
he dropped somebody and or didn't reappoint them, and then appointed somebody who had not gone through the vetting process, and then
Right.
that person didn't last very long
Right.
because they didn't really understand what the expectations were. And then council member Whitburn staff, Cody Vieira, noticed an error that we had in our process, that we put in our process that the nominating committee would recommend who got the 1-year and 2-year term, which is actually what our initial recommendation was when we were making recommendations for the ordinance. And I had forgotten, and apparently everybody else had forgotten because nobody else caught it, that the ordinance itself says that they will, after the city council makes the appointments, the city clerk will conduct a random drawing to determine who gets 1-year terms and 2-year terms.
Okay.
I think that occurred because the ordinance says we can have this nominations process that we're doing procedure for, but it didn't mandate that, and it needed to have some method in the ordinance to make the determination of who got 1-year terms and 2-year terms, and somebody recommended this, and that's what got put in. So we've asked Charmaine to change the draft so that the language of the ordinance replaces our proposal to have the nominating committee make that recommendation, since we have to follow the law. And but beyond that, I think so far all the feedback we've gotten has been positive, and they've made some good suggestions in terms of like one council member suggested that we I think that this is on the executive director search position that we provide not only the feedback from the selection committee, but also the ratings of each of the candidates from the community panel and the commission, so that they could have the benefit of seeing that as well. So I see Robin putting her finger up. Go ahead. We're just
That
still
was a
there.
question. That was a question from the community panel, and I'll just ask it now, even though I think it's not exactly agenda direct. But are you planning to have a community panel for the executive director search, or are we not making that decision because we won't be making, you know what I mean? We won't be the commissioners choosing.
The answer is yes and yes.
Okay.
And so the proposal does include a community panel. It's very similar to the community panel we have for the community engagement. It's 7 to 10 community organizations chosen by the commission. So it's almost exactly the same. The only difference is that they have to sign a covenant. Well, actually, we required a confidentiality agreement for this too. Yeah. So it's basically the very same process for the executive director, except that there'll be a two-step process, or there'll be two panels. One will be the community panel and one will be the commission itself. And so the entire commission will have the opportunity of meeting with the candidates. And the reason I say yes and yes is this is a, no, actually we're putting forward the proposal now. So yeah. And so yes, the proposal includes exactly that. And then we also would have a community member on the final selection interviewing process too. So it would be that part of it is almost identical to the community engagement coordinator. And okay, and so we can put the agenda back up. We have no unfinished business, and we only have one item of new business. And actually, it's a typo, which is my mistake again. It says the review of the draft recruitment flyer and application for the new commissioners. Actually, it's the nominating committee for the new commissioners. So and Charmaine has invited the director of the Office of Boards and Commissions to our meeting next week to talk about the nominations process and how they'll be working with us. And like Charmaine now has access to their database and so forth, but we'll be discussing that next week. And so Charmaine last week agreed to put together drafts of 2 documents for the nominating committee selection. And let me share my screen. Oh, okay, now I can share my screen. And the first one is the flyer, and then the second one is the application. And I'm not, can you guys read that? Or do I need to make it larger?
We should probably make it a little bit bigger.
Okay. Oh, let's try that again, see if that works. Oh, I guess I have to make it bigger before, maybe let me stop sharing.
You actually, I was gonna say, you should just be able on the very bottom when you saw the little plus. If you click on that, I think it would open it wider within your window.
Oh, okay, I'll try that again. So where,
So-
at the
So when
bottom.
you, yep, so,
there you go.
yep,
Okay,
there you go,
thank you.
perfect.
Thank you. Okay, so it says volunteers needed for the Commission on Police Practices and Nominating Committee, and we would not distribute this flyer until the City Council approves the process. But we want to be ready to go immediately after they approve the process. And actually, Charmaine indicated that she's working today on doing the paperwork that's required to get it docketed. And so it requires a memo to the City Council, and she's actually working on doing that so we can get it docketed hopefully soon, hopefully before the holidays. And then the next one basically explains who is going to be on the on the committee. So it indicates what the composition of the committee is. And then the next paragraph, talks about the importance of community input and that this is a good opportunity for people to be involved in the process. And then the last paragraph is if they want more information about the commission, how they can learn more about it. And then if they're interested, fill out the application, which we'll go over in a second, and then they return it. And then on the right side is a participation in the committee's interview and nominating process, assist with recommending community members to fill 25 seats in the commission, and add text. And so I'm not sure if anybody has any suggestion of what we want to add there. Any thoughts? So
I think we might want to put in like our estimated amount of time that we think it might take, because
well, I think it's included on the application itself. And so maybe we can look at the application and then come back.
Yeah.
So let me stop sharing that then. Well, any questions or anything else regarding that? How does it look as a flyer? This would be a flyer we have on our website and make available to community groups and so forth. And we talked about putting together a list of community organizations, and so we would send it out to that list, and not just our internal list, but also lists the city may have of community groups, etc. Okay, seeing no.
I was gonna say, I know it is on the application. I know we're gonna go in that. I just think if we're putting this flyer out, this is kind of the first piece. I think making sure people kind of understand what the time requirement is going to be is going to, I mean, I would hate people to fill out the application or start to fill out the application. And I go, oh, wait, 40 hours, I'm out. So I'd want people to be able to kind of be aware from the very beginning, but I mean, there's a lot of information we need. And obviously it's probably too much for one page, but I mean, obviously I'm open to any other recommendations too. I'm not.
There's space here where it says add text.
Right. Yeah.
That could
That's
be
kind of what
part
we were
of that.
talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that could be part of that.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that you want it, as kind of a headline thing as opposed to a text thing.
No, I kind of agree with Brandon. I feel like it's good to be transparent about the time commitment in a very obvious way. So I don't know. I guess I would vote for figuring out a place to put that. The other suggestion I might have is this is very long sentences and wordy. I'm wondering if there would be an opportunity to maybe create bullet points for, and again, this is just how my brain works, so it may not, I'm pointing at my screen like y'all can see me, but where it says will be composed of 9 individuals, like from there, I wonder if it could just be bullet points, like 9 individuals, 3, 6, I don't know. I think that might be more readable for people and make it a little clearer. So just a thought, doesn't have to be.
Yeah, I kind of like that too. It makes it a little bit more easy to read because people tend to read bullet points more than they do paragraphs.
Yeah.
And so Robin, are you taking or Alina, one of you taking notes on this? Okay. And so
She's
the
nodding her head if you didn't see.
yes, and so the
Yep.
staff is working on this, and so they will take notes and work on that.
Did you guys want the deadline of when the last day to apply?
Yeah, but we don't know that yet.
Right, but eventually on this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, it probably should be on there as the deadline should be on there.
It's like the second to last sentence, but I mean, I think we might even want to make that a new sentence and make that bold. Because I think obviously we want to make sure the community can be involved in that process. And I would hate for people to, because there is a lot of text on here. I'd hate for people to kind of get it and then, think, okay, I'll get to that next week. And then they miss the deadline and then they can't participate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
But,
wondering too, if that could be one of the pieces in the banner where,
Yes.
we keep, I think
Yeah.
that's like a really key piece of
Mhm.
information.
This is important.
Yeah, and maybe we can have a sentence, in the, I was pointing at my screen too, but at the screen that has the cursor clicking, the next to last paragraph, maybe we can have something where it says this is a rewarding and inclusive opportunity to be involved.
I mean, do we need that paragraph? I guess is a question I'm asking myself.
Um,
I mean, because if we're putting it out there, I think that it's kind of known that public input is crucial. I don't know if we need to sell them on being rewarded. I don't know. I would consider.
well, see, what I was thinking was
editing that.
maybe along the lines of saying that talking about it, it will be and I'm not sure what terms to use, but it would be a time-consuming task, but it will be a temporary task. So that if you're not, it's a way to have a long-term impact without actually serving on the commission. And so I don't know how to word that effectively, but that might be. I think it'd be easier to sell the time commitment if you explain that it's a temporary thing.
Yeah, if people know it's a finite time, yeah.
And so for people who may not have the ability to commit to being on the commission, but they want to make sure the commission is successful and comprises of the right people, they can make a short-term commitment to help that selection process. And maybe we can have the staff take that input and they can figure out how to word it. Because we have some time, because we have to wait for this to come back from the city council, to bless it before we actually distribute it. And so anything else on the flyer itself? Okay, then let me stop sharing that. And let me see if I can find the application again. Hold on a second here. Ooh. Share screen. Here we go. Okay. Is everybody seeing it? And so now how do I make it smaller, Brandon? So
I think you're just in your Outlook window, right?
maybe, I don't know.
I'm not sure how to do it within an Outlook window.
Okay, so let me back out of there. Let me do a stop sharing. Go back
Here,
to,
you know what?
Oh, you have to click on the
I was
Here,
gonna
I-
download it.
PDF.
Do you have it up?
I can share it. I have it up.
Okay, why don't you put and make it easier? Yeah, so. Perfect. Okay, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, I didn't download it. I was just showing the Outlook. So perfect. Okay. And no, it's you're sharing it, Brandon. So you'll have to.
Yeah.
Moving my cursor doesn't work. And so looking through there. Okay, and then it's first name, middle name, last name, suffix. Maybe they put that all in one line. Maybe middle initial. I don't think we need
Some people don't use a middle initial. They
I should
use
say
a
we
middle name.
could probably just take out middle name altogether, I would think.
I was thinking the
Um,
same thing.
Yeah, well, how about we just say full name?
Perfect.
And is this the which one, I think. Hold on just a second, Brandon. I don't know.
This was the email Charmaine had sent us the other day.
Oh, I made some suggestions and she made some revisions based
Okay.
on that. And so let me,
Okay, well then I probably have an old version then.
okay, so let me go back to my screen.
What about title? Because sometimes people have a title they want to use.
Okay, and I'll go back here to,
I'll stop sharing then.
All right, can I just point something out really quick? I just noticed on the flyer, I think you have, sorry, so Robin and I kind of did teamwork on this and we both worked on separate things and came together. But on the flyer, Robin, I think as my email, you have it on commission for the commission email, right? And on the application, I have it as my email. I don't know if you want them to be the same or if that matters.
Oh, I wasn't sure. I
Okay.
didn't really get to.
I would say we should make it the same. And I think to make it
Okay.
clear, let's just use the commission police practices email
Okay.
address. I think that if we have people that are sending us stuff, I'd rather have everything going to one email address rather than multiples because it makes it more clear. It's easier to kind of keep all the information in one spot.
Right.
okay, so now how do I increase the size of this?
If you scroll your cursor over the text, yep, there you go.
Okay,
And then
yeah,
just
there
hit
it
the
is.
plus, yep.
Okay. Okay, so go back up to the very top. And so maybe just putting the first slide, maybe put full name. And therefore they want to put, you know, Dr. Douglas Case, Jr., they can put that. Or if they want to put or they want to put Douglas in Case, comma, PhD, they could do that. Address, city, state, yeah, she took out the date of birth. I didn't think we need the date of birth. If we do have a place where we ask them if they qualify for the youth thing. Phone, cell phone, email, their current occupation, place of employment. I don't know why she has city employee there. I asked the question of why we needed it and didn't get a response. Alina.
Sorry, so yeah, I spoke to Charmaine earlier, and she kind of was going over a few questions that you had. I know the date of birth was on there as well as the city employee checkoff. So she was trying to keep it as similar to the OBC application as possible, just because it's already been vetted by the city and approved. So, and also like for full transparency as well. I think there was another question, but like a little bit further down, so I can answer that one as well. But I didn't realize that she took off date of birth. So if it's off, then that's
Yeah,
good.
Yeah, I don't think we need date of birth.
Okay.
And I'm not sure why we need city employee. And I'm not sure we really want.
I was gonna say, I think we would get the city employee based on the previous question, the place of employment.
Yeah, that's
I
what
mean,
I'm
so
saying.
it's a
It seems
little
like place of,
duplicative.
yeah, it seemed that was my thought too.
Yeah.
If you work for the city of San Diego, then you would obviously be a city employee. So I think we can take that off.
Why
then-
do we care about the next two things either? Licenses?
I think again, it probably goes back to what Alina was saying is we're probably trying to just copy what boards and commissions is already doing. I know years and years ago, when I actually sent in my letter of interest to be on the CRB, back then they would ask for essentially a cover letter and a copy of your resume. And then they also, I think, asked that question for, you know, do you have any professional licenses? I think for the nomination committee, it's a little less important, but I mean, say for example, someone is on the commission and, you know, you have your NACOL certification, you could put that on there. And I think that that's appropriate and relevant. So I think having it on there isn't a bad thing.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I kind of have the same feeling. I was wondering if we really need it, but I don't see a problem with it.
And the
Yeah.
only thing that makes me wonder is I think people are leery about sharing too much personal information, and I don't know if that is or not. I'm just thinking about it. Like, would that turn me off if I were doing the application?
I don't think you'd be turned off by having,
Probably not. I know, I'm just trying to, I'm thinking through it. Yeah.
And,
I mean, I think also we're not asking them for like their license numbers, like, I have my real estate license. I could put that on there, but granted, it's all searchable anyway, but I mean, it's like, it's not like I would put my license number on there.
okay. And, okay, the category, current or former commissioner, a community member from a nonprofit organization, academic professional, and we have in parentheses, but I wonder whether or not I guess that's okay the way that it is. And then youth group, ages 18 to 24.
I might change that just to youth. Youth group makes it sound like there's a group, like a youth group, like you're gonna go to a youth group at your church or something.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to suggest is maybe for like the community member nonprofit organization, maybe we allow a spot for people to put what their organization is that they would be representing.
Yes.
I think that would be helpful. And then perhaps for the one below that, the academic professional piece, I'm wondering if it makes sense for us to, we have specializing in and a couple options. I'm wondering if we might want to have options for them to select, criminal justice or, civil rights or, whatever. Because I think that way we can kind of see from the applications, what areas are we getting? I mean, the idea is we'd like to have some diversity. I don't think we want. Yeah,
I think we'll get that though from their resume. And so if they are a professor of, criminal justice, you probably would find that out in their
Fair
resume.
point. Yep,
Okay.
fair point.
And, but I do think we have to, I agree. We should have them list the, community organization that they, are from, their resume, letter of recommendation, and then their city council resident, and the nominating committee can live outside of the city of San Diego. The commission members itself would have to live in the city. And then their gender and ethnicity. And then neighborhood of residents. Because the neighborhood, I mean, the city council doesn't tell you the neighborhood. And so explain your experience in community involvement, 200 words or less. And it probably also would be where they would hopefully elaborate on the community organizations they're involved with, why you're interested in being on the nominating committee. What is your knowledge and vision of oversight in San Diego? What qualities will you be looking for in evaluating members of the commission? And then we have the nominating committee will interview approximately 50 candidates. And I'm not sure whether, I'm debating whether we want to put a particular number there, but I think, well, let me read the whole thing and we can go back and discuss it. The nominating committee will interview approximately 50 candidates and then decide on the nomination of candidates to city council. This may require at least 30 to 35 hours volunteer time for this process. Can you commit to volunteering this amount of time to the nominating committee?
Spread out over how many weeks, Doug? I would want to say 30 to 35 hours over a period of what, 2 weeks, 3 months, whatever.
Okay.
I don't know what you're seeing.
Well, how about 2 to 3 weeks? Does that sound appropriate?
And you don't think 30 to 35 sounds kind of low for doing 50 interviews?
Well,
Yeah.
if you're doing 3 per hour, which is what we did when we were doing it before, but maybe that's a little
But you got to think about like getting on early, right? To make sure everyone's there, and then probably having to have several meetings about training. I don't know. It seems
Okay,
low.
then, okay. Well, Charmaine initially had 40, and so,
I
I
think
thought that was
40
a
is
little-
probably more like it. Yeah.
okay, let's go back to 40 then. And in 40 hours over a 2 to 3 week period.
I'd say a month.
Well, no, because I think we want to expedite the process.
Well, all right.
And so hopefully, you know, they can set it up so that they have like a Saturday where they're going to,
Marathon.
yeah, have a couple of marathon interviews. And so if you did 2 per hour, oh, that would be that would still take 3 days of marathon interviews.
Mhm.
But I think that those actually work out better than trying to schedule 15 meetings. But they, you know, they can work that out amongst themselves. This is just a side comment that just came to my mind as they were doing that, is that we didn't specify how the chair of the nominating committee would be selected. I think that the commission would probably do it like any other appointments of committees, but it would be, I think it might be good to include that in the procedure that the commission would recommend the chair and members of the committee. The other option is to have them decide amongst themselves. But I think it is important to have a chair to, you know, facilitate things. Any thoughts on which way that should be done? Have the commission appoint the chair? Or
I'd
have
vote for that.
okay.
And the only reason is my own sense of confusion. If I were to be part of this nominating committee and come in and know probably nobody else there, then how do you pick a chair?
Yeah, it's kind of like a jury voting
Yeah, I mean,
to their
you-
foreman or foreperson.
And then would the idea be that the commission picks the chair just based on, I guess, on what?
Hopefully some knowledge of the people that have applied.
And
think
well, maybe knowledge of the commission itself and the city processes and so forth, maybe experience in doing
think,
similar
yeah.
processes.
And as I say, oftentimes what happens, even with the commission's current, you know, subcommittees, is you have someone who essentially kind of, you know, volunteers to do it. Because, you know, we'll have, you know, sometimes, you know, 5 to 7 people that want to be on the committee, but not everyone wants to act as chair. So usually you'll have someone who steps up to say, I'm interested. And if there's more than one, usually then the commission would vote on who would do it.
Would you want to
Uh,
put that on the application, or would you be interested in sharing this group?
I mean, I think I would, I don't know, personally, I think I would wait until we have everyone there and then they can kind of discuss it among themselves. But I mean, I'm open to other suggestions too.
Okay.
I just don't want to fence us in too much at this point, because I think we want to have some flexibility based on what people, you know, can do and what they're willing to volunteer for. Because obviously the chair is going to have even more hours required than probably, you know, a standard committee member.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just thinking through it.
Yeah.
And it could be, if you did include it on this form, to be, are you interested in chair? And then there will be a selection process led by the commission for the chair or something. So to get hedge our bets, right? Like, not say if you say you want to do it, you get to do it. But yeah, I mean, I just think it adds a layer of an element of that we're going to want to make sure that we're real clear on how we're going to choose that person.
Is there any place it needs to say, if you want to apply to be on CPP, don't apply to this? Or, because I don't think we want somebody applying to be on the nominating committee.
Oh, I think that was on the front page. First
Was
page,
it?
was it?
Okay, all right.
We can go back and check when we look at the flyer. And so
And
No,
that's
I mean-
actually,
I
sorry, go
mean,
ahead, Doug.
we could add it to the time commitment and said, would you be indicate if you're if you would be interested in being considered for a chair, parentheses, would require additional time. And I see Robin shaking her head. And what happened to Diana? Did we lose her?
Oh, she's there.
Oh, she's not showing on my screen.
It'll only show, I
You
think,
need,
like
you need
5
to arrow
people.
down, Doug.
Yeah, depending on how many people you have on your
Okay,
screen
I didn't see the
resolution.
arrow. Okay. So there you are. Hi, Diana. Okay. Well, then the next one I didn't understand, and I asked her why she included it, because well, she had several questions that she took from the questions that we used to ask of people who were seeking to be former CRB members. And one of the questions that we asked is, do you have any more questions for us? But this is an application. We're not going to be interviewing the members of the nominating committee. And so I'm not quite sure why. How would we respond to the question, I guess, is the question I'm asking.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too to consider is that we want to keep this application. I mean, it feels like a lot it's a lot to answer, right? And so I think if you can take down text in any level, it's going to be a lot less intimidating for people. So if we don't think there's going to be value added in any of these questions, I think we should really consider removing them. And so I kind of agree with you, Doug, that like questions they may have are going to come up in the interview process, right? And so
Right.
I agree with you that I think that should be cut.
Okay, and maybe we can put on the flyer itself. Well, I think it says questions, but we can go back and look at that. And then list 3 references who can speak for your work experience, character, and acts of service. Please provide their best contact information.
And then I just pulled up the flyer again. The very last sentence on that flyer does say, if you have any questions, please contact the executive assistant, and it has the phone number and the email address.
Okay, and does it indicate there that the members of the nominating committee cannot
No, I don't think it does. I'm scanning over it really quickly. I don't believe it does say that.
let me look at see if I can find it as well. But I think
Yeah,
we probably, I mean,
doesn't.
it's we somewhere we ought to indicate that either on the application or the flyer, and I don't think it makes a big difference where it goes. We should point out that if you're going to, that members of the nominating committee are not eligible to apply for the commission, and that individuals associated with law enforcement are ineligible to serve on the nominating committee. Would you want that on the flyer or on the
I would say both.
well, we want to limit our text.
Yeah, but that, I mean, I think what we also want to try to avoid is having people who really want to be on the commission start doing this, thinking that they're trying to
Okay.
say they're interested in the commission. And then I think also, I'm not sure how many of you guys have gotten the email, but San Diegans for Justice is going to be hosting a kind of an informational meeting about how to be a commissioner. So I have RSVP to attend, and I think we might want to share that as well. If people are interested in being a commissioner, that this is not the form that they would want to do. But I think having it in 2 spots, I don't think it's a bad thing. But yeah, I mean,
Okay, or maybe it could be like a well, I maybe a question, because an application is maybe or maybe at the top of the application. Let me go. Oh, I'm sharing, so I guess I can.
I have a question. Do you want it to be like a kind of like a disclaimer?
Yeah, something along those lines, not really a disclaimer, but yeah, something along those lines, yeah. You know, or notation, you know, note that, please note, members of the commission are not eligible to apply for, members of the nominating committee are not eligible to apply for the
To be committee members.
big committee, to be commission members.
Sorry, you're
And,
right, commission members.
and that individuals associated with law enforcement are ineligible to serve on the nominating committee, or maybe we're put that the other way around. Members, individuals associated with law enforcement I guess that's fine, or are ineligible to serve on the nominating committee. Okay.
Should this go under on the first page or after the email? If you can scroll up to the first page, please.
See, I was thinking of adding it to the paragraph, the second paragraph where it talks about who's going to be on the nominating committee. Because that's probably where you want to put it. That
I think she's referring to the application.
Yes,
not
the
the flyer.
application.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
okay, sorry. Let me go back to the
So I would think, I mean, yeah, Robin, I would kind of agree with you. I think we've probably after that first paragraph we have on the application form, I think we can just add that one quick sentence of,
Yeah, oh, sorry. I was thinking of the last page, but then if you write through the whole application, then you see that, and then you're like, oh, there you go.
I think it should
So
be
the
front and
first,
center. Yeah.
yeah, maybe on the front, the strung again.
Yep.
Yeah, so maybe up at the top, put please note that
okay, sounds good.
and those two things. And then we had a couple of questions that we're going to see. Oh, we did check on that. And so
I have a quick question for you. Sorry, Charmaine reached out to me and wanted to know if you plan to put the nominating committee members on the website by any chance?
we
On the
hadn't
CPC website.
we hadn't talked about that, but I think it would actually be good. But
I think we'd also want to check with people because I don't know if
Yeah.
volunteers
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
short period of
Yeah,
time would want their name put on blast, to be honest.
I
Yeah, well,
totally
I-
agree. I think that has to be a consent.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think we want to be transparent as to who's on the nominating committee. But maybe listing them on the website as a specific item is a little bit different than including them in a document where we appoint them.
I just
No,
know,
I'm just thinking in terms of transparency, that would be
Yeah.
good, but then in terms of privacy, that would be an
Right.
issue. And we also we don't want people lobbying members of the
right.
nominating committee. So either applicants or friends of applicants to be personally lobbying members of the nominating committee. So yeah, maybe not on the website, but when they'll be appointed in an open meeting and the minutes will be there. So it'll be something that is publicly available, but in thinking it through, I don't think we should want them listed on the website. Who asked that question? Was that?
Oh, Charmaine, it had to do with the previous question we were talking about, and it just got brought up, so I thought I would ask you right here.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I guess the answer is no, not listing them on the website.
I think especially for shorter term volunteers, I think for all of us as current commissioners, obviously our names are on the website, but that makes sense because we're long-term commissioners. I think if you're really only volunteering for approximately a month, I don't really know if it makes sense to put people's names up on the website. And I mean, if people want to, I have no problem giving them the recognition if they want to show what their service has been. I think that's great. But there's a lot of we even have some commissioners who would prefer not have their names in public documents because of privacy. So I just want to make sure we're being cautious of people's privacy, especially short-term volunteers.
Okay. So we're not going to put their names and their cell phone numbers and their home addresses on the website. Okay, anything else on that? Okay, and that was really our only agenda item for today, unless people had other things to discuss. And so I think for next week, we can bring back the second version of this. And Charmaine indicated that the director of the Office of Boards and Commissions will be joining us next week to talk about the application process itself. And so I think putting those two items on the agenda, then we'll probably will have an update on staffing by then as well. So I think that probably is enough. Okay. Then I think we ought to adjourn. Bye.
Sounds good. Thanks, everybody.
Happy
Have a good
Friday,
weekend.
everybody.
Hey.
Bye.
Have a good weekend.